I welcome you to this new video about coaching and program management skills for the European Federation of Local Government Chief Executives, UDIT. On previous video, we have started to understand the deep structure of how we process information and how we act accordingly. Moreover, knowing these patterns or these mental models will allow us to bring near and significantly improve relationships with others and to get the results we want when communicating with others. But what is more important, once you know your own pattern, in case you don't like it, you may decide whether or not to change it. The first one, the one we studied in the previous video, was the pattern that distinguishes between proactive and reactive, and we could understand what were its peculiarities and how we could use it on a daily basis in our professional life. They can be identified because they use words such as goals, achieve, attain, obtain, rewards, etc. The following one is on the opposite side of his metaprogram pattern. People in this group are very good at correcting mistakes, solving problems and pointing at obstacles because they automatically identify what is wrong and therefore they naturally tend to get away from it. This kind of people can be identified because they use very specific words as avoid something to someone, prevent, eliminate, resolve, regulate, or even words as banning. People often invest time, energy, and resources to meet this pattern, or in other words, to get away from pain and approach to pleasure. For example, in your daily work, you go up or down the stairs in your town hall instead of using the elevator every day, simply because you like using the stairs as a complementary way of doing sports, or because you are scared of getting the elevator. Another example, as a manager, I read every day all the legislative changes because I love the way the articles are written, or I just do it to avoid not to be up to date. In the latter case, as you can see, you are not looking for pleasure, but rather what you want is to get away from the pain of not being up to date. And furthermore, that your colleagues can find out that you are not up to date. A person with an approach meta program to something will use words like accomplish, attain, obtain, achieve, reach, and include. In contrast, people with a distance or a getaway meta program often use words like avoid, prevent, or solution. How important for a manager this meta model is? For example, to motivate people who work with you, your colleagues, or even influence them directly. We will see later how. In order to know a person's trend to a particular meta model, we just have to find out what this person looks for in relation to something, either to a file, a report, the relationship with an assistant, or even how his department is organized, simply because they will answer by saying what they want or do not want. For example, just imagine that you have a very valid person in your department, in your workplace, and that lately he is absolutely unmotivated. And, of course, this is affecting his behavior and performance in terms of tasks. If his pattern is the distance or runaway type, you can meet with him and talk, explain the dire consequences that his behavior is causing. In contrast, if his pattern is the moving towards something type, it may be much more effective to meet with him and explain what he can accomplish if he changes his way of doing things. Let's suppose, for example, two ways of presenting a report to your mayor or your superior. What your corporation or department gets with that report, or what you are trying to avoid with the report. The strategy you may use will always depend on your partner or the person you are interacting with. If we use a wrong meta program, this will lead us to an attempt to attract a person to something that this person is trying to avoid, so we will never achieve our goal. But this pattern is not just for work. In any facet of your life, beyond the purely professional work, you can implement it with amazing results. For example, suppose you intend your child to do the homework and study every day without needing to be on top of him to do that. You have two ways to approach this task. You can tell him, you better study or you will not go to a good college. Or you can also say, look at your classmate. As he didn't study, he was kicked out of school and is now going to spend his life from a precarious job to another. Which of the two strategies is most appropriate? Well, it depends basically on your son and his own metamodel. If his basic motivation is shining of things, it could get out fine. But what if he has the opposite pattern? In this case, you would not succeed trying to change his behavior by using the escape example. You can admonish him endlessly, but it will have no impact on him. So if your child is the type of moving towards something, the strategy could be, hey, if you pass this course, I will take you to the college you want. Let's take another example of a usual day in an office with your mayor or your superior, in which, after a budget work session, a relaxed conversation begins. In that meeting, we could listen to the following dialogue. Hey, what's important to you regarding next year's budget? To which he can answer, I know that if this budget is well done, my job security is guaranteed. To which you can answer, why your job security is so important for you? Well, because I won't have to worry about paying bills. And why is paying bills so important? Well, because this way the municipality doesn't get more debts than necessary, and so on. That is, in this short conversation, we can identify your superior's pattern. However, it is advisable to make at least 3 levels of questions, since initially some people usually answer something positive in order to hide from patterns like get away from or escape. You have seen how in the present case, the first answer is about job security, even though in the next answer there is a preference for the get away from pattern. On next video, we will move into this really useful and powerful tool as a managerial skill. Let me remind you that the mother of a skill is the constant practice. So I invite you to practice all you have just seen every day, anytime, anywhere.